Welcome everyone to the Tethys Shipyards. I am Takeshi Yamato, the Yard Master, joining our host, the Housecoat Gamer.
Yo.
Today we are covering the biggest galactic imperial starship that I know of. The Death.
It had to be done, okay?
Yeah, the Death Star is bigger, but that's not a ship.
This is the Eclipse. Flagship of Emperor Palpatine.
Yes.
Which means we really did have to play the Emperor's theme.
Yes.
But back to business.
Back to business.
The Eclipse was the Emperor's brainchild. Sure, somebody else designed it, but he basically wanted the most intimidating starship possible. He got it. Because this is the only ship in the entire war setting that could one-shot even a Trek starship.
And the reason it can do that is because of one thing.
Commence primary ignition.
That's right. The Eclipse has a super laser.
It's prow-mounted, but really, it is the only thing this thing really needs outside of some basic point defense systems.
Yeah. That said, it does still have plenty of other weapons too, including essentially its own bulk.
Now, in spite of this model's excessive use of what I believe is kaleidoscope pictures, that prow is actually heavily armored, and, well, let's just say I wouldn't want to be anything in front of it.
Yes. In fact, in one of the fan fictions we've done in the past, someone made an improved someone was able to up armor the thing to make it even harder, to make it even deadlier when ramming things.
Well, ramming is a valid and ancient military tactic.
Yes, valid and ancient, and with this thing, very, very effective.
Now, let's be honest about the super laser. It's not as powerful as the one on the Death Star. Either one. That can vaporize planets due to the sheer bulk of its hypermatter reactor. The only thing that actually, matches anything remotely close to technology because of its sheer size. This thing?
Yeah. This thing could crack a planet's crust.
It'll liquefy a continent and make the planet uninhabitable, but that's about it.
Yeah. That said, even that reduced level of firepower is still powerful enough to atomize a starship in one single hit.
Of course, that is not the only weapon this thing has. While its turbo laser and conventional weapons armament is reduced, it still has concussion missiles, turbo laser batteries, ion cannons, gravity well generators.
Yeah, it has everything.
Including an emperor who worships the dark side. Because this thing might as well be his mobile temple.
Yeah.
Now, you're probably wondering, why are we even discussing the Eclipse? Well, primarily for the Trek Wars campaign that is up, and we're probably going to have to finish that at some point. At least finish it as of this vid's recording. It's probably going to be finished and uploaded by the time we're done.
Yeah.
But still, in case you want to play with the Eclipse or Perhaps the Eclipse actually ends up in Trek. Hint, hint. Dark Empire. Yeah. Remember what happens to the Eclipse?
Yeah. So yeah. If you want to, so yeah, we're just making sure the stats are available.
Of course, that brings us to the fates of these particular ships. Because Palpy decided to have a little temper tantrum, the original Eclipse got swallowed up by a force storm. Whether it ended up in the Trek universe is entirely up to your own recognizance.
Yeah.
As for the Eclipse 2, well, blame R2. He made it ram the galaxy gun and it blew up Abyss.
Yep.
Honestly, biggest waste the New Republic ever did. They could have used that thing against a lot of Vong world ships.
Fair enough. And while it is beyond the scope of Tethys shipyards, that force storm could have deposited the Eclipse practically anywhere. There are other RPG systems for other space settings. You could potentially adapt. You could, if you wished to do wars crossovers with that, you could adapt their ship making systems and other various things you can do. We're just I think I'm not entirely sure if this thing has a stat block in the Fantasy Flight Star Wars system. I don't think it does, but you could easily adapt other systems to it. Adapt other ships to represent it, but we're just sticking to Star Trek Adventures here.
You know, I'm actually thinking, who would win in a fight, the Eclipse or 40K's Planet Killer? I mean, in a ship-on-ship fight, obviously.
Yeah, ship-on-ship fight. That would be an interesting scenario, though. I would have to put 50-50 odds on a draw.
Mutual kill?
Yes.
People in the comments, anyone watching this, put up your bets.
Yeah,
let's stat this thing.
Yeah, let's stat this thing. Giving this thing an entered service date of about 10 years after the Battle of Yavin.
Which is pretty accurate. And that's actually when the ship pops up in the
comics.
Yep.
And basically, it's same size as an exact stat block. We just changed up 1 point. The values for this thing are comms 11, computers 10, engines 8, sensors 9, structure 13, weapons 12. And department values are again the same as the Executor. 2 points in command, 1 point in security. Weapon systems. Heavy turbo lasers, medium turbo lasers, light turbo lasers, ion cannons, laser cannons, super laser. See special rules down below. Proton torpedoes, concussion missiles, and a strength 9 tractor beam. For talents, a blade of armor, 2 instances of advanced shields, command ship, extensive hangar base, 1 instance, fire base, and 2 instances of secondary reactors. So this thing has fairly powerful shields and a lot of power. Special rules are FTL propulsion system, hyperdrive, deflector screens. Basically the standard thing there. Warships do not have enough power to run particle shields and ray shields at the same time. So you can only defend against energy weapons or projectile weapons. And if the opposite weapon is fired, your ship suffers a breach. And lastly, the super laser. All right.
Let's get this out of the way. Let's get it out of the way. The super laser is a one-hit kill weapon. Period.
Yeah.
We're not going to dispute that.
Yeah. Let me think. Okay. Here's how I'm going to word it. The super laser has no direct stats. Any attack made with this weapon has no direct stats. It takes 2 rounds of combat to charge up and can be fired on every 3rd round. It is a it has a range of long and requires a TN5 check to hit. If it hits, the target vessel is instantly destroyed with no survivors. Meaning, if your player character's ship is targeted by the Eclipse's super laser and it hits, you're gonna be having your players are gonna be having to make new characters.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah. This is not something you want to. Your players are going to have to figure out ways to try and avoid laser.
That said, we really do have to point out that it does have a limited firing arc.
Yes, that's part of why I said TN5. That's basically the highest difficulty you can get. There's technically a TN6, but that's not something you roll. If a check is supposedly a TN6, it's not. You're not doing. That is basically impossible, and you have to do various things to try and reduce the TN of a check before you get to roll. So TN5 is the hardest difficulty. Hardest difficulty that can be rolled.
Someone's in for a bad day.
Yeah. A base TN5 check to hit. It can be modified positively or negatively in various ways. That might be a way your players can avoid it. Find ways to get the ship's TN to hit their ship up to 6. That way, meaning that it can't be done. And descriptor traits: Imperial Starship, Emperor's Flagship.
People are probably going to be going, but what about Disney? Screw Disney.
Yeah. Screw Disney. Okay. Disney's been trying. Disney has. The Disney films are not Star Wars. At least not the Star Wars we know.
We'll stick with the one that is actually good. over the piece of crap.
Yeah. Rogue One. Rogue One is a decent movie. Rebels is a decent show, which can be worked into the expanded universe. It may take a little bit of tweaking, but it can be done. Episode 7, Episode 8, Episode 9, Solo, Obi-Wan. I'm sorry, but no. Maybe The Mandalorian. Maybe. I haven't watched that show. I wouldn't know. Then again, I don't have Disney Plus, so of course I haven't watched that show. Or any other recent Disney shows.
I actually feel somewhat jealous. Ignorance is bliss. Regardless, this is the true Eclipse.
Yeah.
And it actually is a nice little segue. Because we have rules for the super laser. You know what that means. Bye bye.